Bev here with me today, Beverley, Densham, of Mindfulness Pilates, as I'm going to introduce you in a minute. And just thinking about this lady and how she makes us all feel so great really just taps into the vibe, the feeling that I love to share here, about the power of connection, and she and I network together. And I tell you, no one will connect you like to yourself, to your breath, but also to other people like Bev will. And so I really want to give space to talk about her business. And I just feel you're going to be inspired by what she has to say. So welcome, Bev. Yay! I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for having me, Elaine. It's lovely to be here.
Oh, no, it's lovely for me. It's lovely for me. So let's go. Let's talk about this. Tell me, like, why did you start your business? I'm dying to hear, like, what was behind your business? Why did you start it?
Well, there was no plan to start a business. There was no actual plan. What happened was I did a degree in sports science at the University of Brighton. I was heavily into sport, but equally I was heavily into design as well. I then worked for a year to save up to travel the world. And then the only thing I had on the plan at that point was to travel the world and work as a backpacker traveling around the world. But what happened was in Bondi Beach in Sydney, I was experiencing, I'd had back problems and back pain on and off. And it was at a point where I really needed to seek help with it. So I went to this sports injuries clinic, literally just off Bondi Beach. There's this sports injuries clinic there. And I was given some rehabilitation exercises, which are like really, and they recommended Pilates, and those particular physio exercises are very complementary to sort of rehabilitation, sort of basic beginner Pilates, especially good for the back and the discs. So that really helped. And I started going twice a week. But then it wasn't, then I carried on traveling and working and ended up in Darwin in northern Queensland. And it was very pivotal. At one point I had 3 jobs a day, and then I cut it down to 2 because 3 was a bit too much, having a morning and an evening shift and then a lunchtime shift. So I changed it to 2 shifts a day. I was cycling to work one morning and I was involved in quite a major sort of road traffic accident. I was on my bicycle, and there was a lot of different impacts, and I did have to have an operation, and there was a sort of physical and mental recovery from it. But it was after that I was like, what? When I was well enough to get back to the UK, I was like, what on earth am I going to do for a living? But the first spark was I just thought of Pilates again. And I, even with a splint on my wrist, I started going to London, and I got into it for myself, and it sort of helped me. I found a passion, something that was helping me sort of physically and mentally, even though I didn't have any use of my sort of left hand and arm at the time. And they let me go on the training course in London to train as a teacher, even though I still had the splint on my arm kind of thing.
I love your
And
determination.
yeah, that is my middle name, determination. And yeah, it was life changing, and I was very lucky that I found an amazing premises which became my studios for 16 years. It started off with just obviously a few clients and a few classes, and it built up to having one big studio. When I say big studio, maximum 12 clients, and one little studio with between 1 and 4 clients in that studio. And I built up a team of teachers, and that was sort of the beginning of, that was the why, was pain, and it really helped. And then I wanted to help other people really with their backs and aches and pains. And later on, people started to admit their stress as well. And I was there in person for 16 years. And then for different reasons, I then relocated to Dorset by the sea. And now I teach on Zoom. And I will repeat that. Somebody this morning, even though I said Zoom, I say it's Zoom, and they're like, kind of, they don't clock it. But now I have a studio and I do teach online on Zoom because I can still get the same benefits for the client.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Oh, that is wonderful. So tell me then. So let's explore. So that is so interesting that they were like, what? So, like, what do your clients tell you happens to them when they start working with you? Because for those people who are like, oh, what? How does that work? Or let's chat about like someone who works with you. Like, what do they say? Oh, Bev, like, oh, life is so different since we work together.
Yeah, well, I had a brand new client actually this morning, and she's been in quite a lot of pain. She has a diagnosis of scoliosis, curvature of the spine and things. I mean, for some people that does mean they need to have quite a big operation, and for some people they can manage but need things to help them. So in this instance, she hasn't had a back operation, but she has been in quite a lot of pain with it. And quite unusually, you don't normally expect the pain to go 100 down, 100% in the first session. But for her today, so we worked on Zoom and we started with sitting in the chair, warm up exercises. I taught her the core stability Pilates breathing and then how to work her deep abdominals and get her back supported and work a lot with her back straight. Went on the mat. She had sciatica as well at the beginning of the session, sort of nerve symptom, nerve pain. And there are certain ones, both in physiotherapy actually, as well as sort of what I teach, that are really good for recovery of sciatica. And I taught her we started off with the breathing on the mat, then we moved on to very gentle back stretching. Initially, some of the absolute basic back stretching was uncomfortable on the right side of her back, so we just toned it down, used the band for support. Interestingly, though, she was then able to do some gentle but deeper buttock back hip stretching. We did we really worked on the absolute beginners basics, kind of rehabilitation, core stability work. Her back position was perfect, so I could move her on a little bit more today. And then we worked on basic back strengthening today, finishing with more back maintenance stretching, which is kind of the recovery from back pain type stretching. And then we finished standing actually with some final stretches. And yeah, she didn't have any pain after today.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
I know. So I think she's very hopeful. I think she's really hopeful, that I have to be honest, it's not typically as quick a result as that. It can be a whole year-long process of improving symptoms. And some people, it's not about curing something. It might be ongoing arthritis or long-term disc problems. But with things like that, you can usually reduce symptoms, get a better quality of life on a general basis. Sometimes people get back to their full sport. It might be golf or spinning or weight training as well. People want to use this to support the other things or looking after grandchildren. But on the other hand, it can be about, sometimes people have to find new things to do with their body in their free time, because like someone like myself, I've had spinal stenosis in my spine, which means a narrowing of the nerve root and the spinal injections and past disc prolapse and things like that. So can I still do the things I used to do, i.e. squash or enjoying a golf lesson? No. Can I have quality of life though? Yes, I can cycle, I can walk, I can do some gentle mindfulness Pilates or intermediate. I can swim, I can plunge in the sea. So I have quality of life, but there's things I avoid doing now, or if I sit too long or stand still for too long, that can aggravate. But then what makes it better is doing these basic back maintenance stuff and stretches to be okay again and not get into a place of fear and stress from that sort of pain that might have come in. So sometimes it's about management.
Yeah, gosh, that sounds wonderful. And what I really heard there was that, you know, that you can work with people whether they can get down onto the floor or not. Would that be fair to say? Because I think that's a real common misconception.
Yeah, well,
today's
client can easily get on and off the floor. I'm about to start working with somebody who's only going to do sitting and standing to start with. Although I do believe she will be able to get on that floor with the support of a chair and get her legs stronger, buttocks stronger, use her upper body strength, use her tummy muscles, you know, to help her get up and down, make a chair or a table. She doesn't think she can yet, but she will be. I'm pretty sure she'll be able to. Most clients, I mean, I teach right up to elderly age. I teach a lot of business women, so I have 6 specific classes for business women. So I do teach at the other end of the scale as well. It might be somebody like Susie Sprigg, who's one of our one of my does networking and as a business coach. You know, she shared her story on my podcast of her neck operation, but she's completely since the operation, great in her neck, but then she had the prolapse disc in the low back, but now she's an intermediate to advanced class.
Brilliant.
So you just don't know always where somebody's going to go with it, but they always go in a better direction.
Oh.
I don't know exactly. I only have one intermediate to advanced class because more people are working mixed ability, rehabilitation or mixed ability to intermediate mostly. And that's, you don't need, I mean, to get fit and toned and stronger back, you don't have to go higher than that. To be honest, but it is fun to go higher than that, you know, for some people.
Yeah.
And then I've got chronic fatigue management as well now.
Wow. So, gosh, so you do a lot. Like, there's a broad range there. I was going to ask you, like, do you have like a common, like, is there a common issue that crops up for like the majority of your clients? But it sounds like you have very different, different kind of classes and different abilities. But
Yeah, but
is there anything
yeah.
that unifies them, or?
Well, with the business women, there's one thing that really unifies them. It's that a lot of them are sitting too much. They're too sedentary, and they're aware of having, and they're getting. What I'd probably class as unnecessary aches, pain, stiffness in the head, neck, shoulder, upper to mid back area.
Yeah.
So for these business women, particularly, for example, accountants, bookkeepers, or anyone who's sitting a lot, it can be a website designer, it can be graphic designer. That a lot of sitting too much, and it's bad for the discs as well to sit too much. So that it's quite a common thing. So I really quite enjoy working with all these business women because I'm not just teaching them the core stability, the back strengthening, all the I would call bog standard Pilates, which is obviously great. You've got to have a lot of that in it. But they also love the fact that they're ticking a lot more boxes than that when they see me. They're ticking the personal development box as well. So they're doing how to use affirmations. So I pick a positive affirmation every class. They do 1 minute journaling, which is obviously really therapeutic, right? It can be very uplifting or solution focused. Goal setting. So during a stretch, they'll be doing a goal setting visualization, for example, for their personal life. And meditation, how to breathe and how to de-stress. And also energizing tools as well. Sometimes the energy dips, part of obviously why that's a separate thing is obviously the other thing. But yeah, they love the fact that they're ticking all the boxes, apart from cardiovascular exercise. This is ticking all the boxes. Yeah, go for a walk as well, everybody, but and do whatever else cardiovascular, which is obviously really complementary, but they're kind of separate exercise. So, and this gives people the de-stress that they're busy working mums as well. Then this is giving the calm and the resilience and that inner strength as well. And also I teach people how to practice. So they're really grateful. I'm giving them 6 minutes to practice every day, desk stretches, quick break from the desk, how to do that. And basically it makes work more productive and inspirational as well.
Amazing. Honestly, I just feel myself like sitting up properly as I talk to you.
Yeah.
So tell me, like you're so passionate about it. Like it really comes across. Like, do you have a favorite thing? Is there any aspect of your business that you absolutely adore?
Yeah, I love teaching. I love speaking, and I love designing things to help people. Do I like doing the admin? No. So I've got 2 VAs who help me now.
Good woman.
Or creating a podcast that people can listen to and they can get, get a de-stress breathing and meditation and relaxation that they can feel happier and more uplifted, or they can hear an inspirational interview that's going to help them. I like doing things like that, and I like when I say designing things to help people. So like at the moment I've written 2 books before the latest book, so this is now book 3, and I like writing books because that means I can help more people. So our next book is Stress to Calm in 7 Minutes for Lawyers. So that all came about a year ago after teaching a very stressed lawyer.
You are phenomenal. You're just such a powerhouse. So, okay, this is so amazing because you're so inspirational. But like, who in business inspires you then? Who do you look to and go, oh, amazing?
Yeah. Well, I think there's lots of Obviously, you're inspiring, Elaine.
Oh, would you go on? I didn't mean me. I wasn't fishing for a
Obviously.
compliment.
Obviously. Well, we've got that same bubbly, energetic side to it. If you know what I'm saying. So I like that. So I like my business friends at Business Networking, of course. Janie, my co-author, is one of my role models, because yeah, she's doing a lot for the world of health and well-being, whether that's her Happy, Healthy, Sober book. I'm loving her being co-author with me. I couldn't do it on my own because we're actually writing a whole series of books. So, you know, it would have been too much doing it on my own. And as a team, I think when you work as a team as well, things become much better. I went to her business mastermind the other day, which was amazing, with my sister. And also by going to Janie in the early days, I think we've known each other, I don't know, over 12 years, not sure how long. But in the early days, I was actually quite poorly before my dad bought me one of her workshops, and it was a holistic workshop. So since I've met her, I've transformed my diet. I've discovered juicing and smoothies, so many sort of different things. I've become confident in interviews. I used to be a mouse. And
I can't imagine that.
I'm naturally a real introvert. I was very like standing there on her course, holistic business success, like looking at my notes in front of this group of people, which is really quite unprofessional.
Yeah.
So it's okay to have bullet points, but not to be reading your speech off a piece of paper is not great. So, you know, she's really helped me grow in confidence. So I'm really, really grateful for that. My other role models probably are Beatrix Potter, and also Louise Hay, founder of Hay House.
Yes, very inspiring. I totally get it. Wow, that I can't imagine you being quiet, Bev. I can't imagine. I can't imagine like you, but it just
Yeah,
shows you, you know, it just shows you how you can evolve as a person, you know.
yeah,
That's inspiring in
yeah,
itself.
yeah. I'm a confident introvert. However, if I go to in-person events, I really have to go to the bathroom on the way in to do my stress to calm tools to boost my confidence before I walk in. Otherwise, I'm really nervous and stressed.
Wow.
That's how I am. So I have to. I remember I went to this one event locally, and the cafe there know me very well, and they're like, "Well, no, you can go to the kind of business toilets over there." And I said, "I just want to go to these ones, please, and not see anybody." Basically, I didn't say why, but until I've de-stressed myself and boosted my confidence and brushed my hair.
That's really good, Bev. You know, I think that's so good to share. It's so funny actually how similar we are because even though I am such a jibber jabber, um, in-person events drain the life out of me. So I am exhausted after them. I feel completely depleted. So I've realized I always thought like on those you know, those like, oh, like what kind of personality you are tests that I was extroverted. But it's as I grow older, I realize no, I'm an extroverted introvert, you know, and we exist, you know. So, you know, it is funny, isn't it? Like, but people don't talk about that. So it's great to hear, like, I
Yeah.
think for other people who are introverts, like you can build your business and a successful business and still be you, can't you? You know?
Yeah, definitely. And like I used to get, I'm interviewed on quite a few podcasts and also radio and things like that as well. Obviously, having my own podcast, but I used to get imposter syndrome on some of the podcasts I was interviewed on, because I'd start comparing myself to how many clients they've got or how many millions they're making or whatever, some of them. And I had to stop it, and I had to once again use those same tools, power stretching that I teach, which boosts confidence, calm to happy in 1 minute, which is another stress to calm tool. If I do those before an interview, that just prevents that happening, and then I turn up in a good place, like I did, yeah, one of the tools before coming to see you today as well.
Oh, amazing, amazing, amazing. You can help so many people. Okay, gosh, I'm like, what other questions do I have for you? I have so much to ask you. Okay. Okay, so let's talk to business. So I love the introvert discussion we've just had. So maybe even that, or because my next question was going to be like, what advice would you give a new business owner on how to find their clients? But like, maybe it's about like, people who feel like stressed or feel that imposter syndrome. Like, what advice do you give them?
Yeah, yeah, you have to start somewhere and you've got to turn up. So, if you are in more of an introvert, obviously online Zoom networking, business networking is really good. The first thing I would say is just go to business networking. Um, that is a really, really good thing to do. And each week it's just practice. The more you show up, the more you know what you're doing. The more, if you can, practice your 1 minute before you go along and things like that. You just build those relationships. And I went from having a six-figure business to really rock bottom, starting all over again and starting over again in another county. I'm nowhere near where I used to be yet.
Yes.
And yet, exactly. However, it's, slowly building up, and that is definitely mainly through business networking, which is about getting to know people in small groups and one-to-one. Obviously, the in-person networking, if that's your thing, obviously go for it as well, but you might need to breathe a bit more beforehand, and make sure you smile before you walk in as well.
Oh, that is such great advice. Such great. And we have different backgrounds. We live in different countries, but we're on a similar path. It's so interesting, isn't it? Like, because yeah, like you, I had a six-figure business, and that, circumstances meant that I may build again. But I always say to myself that I am a $1 million business owner. Like, maybe it hasn't arrived in my bank account yet, but sure, like, it's on the truck. It's on the truck, isn't it?
Yeah, and the other thing I would say, I may have been, I'm extremely good at what I do. I am excellent at what I do, in both the stress management as well as the mindfulness Pilates side of things. But what I'd say to any business owner or new business owner is, even though I've been teaching for over 25 years, I still offer a free mindfulness Pilates taster class, properly taught, in exchange for a testimonial. Now, some people may agree or disagree with me on this, but all I can say is it works. And I keep offering these, and I keep offering these, and more and more people gradually book in. So
Brilliant.
it does work, and it's a good exchange, because it means if somebody comes along and books, obviously wonderful. Somebody comes along and doesn't book, they're still going to give you a testimonial. So there's a good exchange. So it feels good either way, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, that is great advice. Yeah, that is such great advice. And so, okay, another question I wanted to ask you was, what advice then, either looking back or even like as you are now, like what advice do you have for someone who wants to get their business to the next level? What are you finding is working for you?
Yeah, it depends what you mean by getting to the next level, I suppose. There's always another level, isn't there?
Yeah,
So I mean, that's my current approach, is doing the free taster classes in exchange for a testimonial.
brilliant.
Would you repeat the question again? Because I've got a few ideas on it.
Oh yeah, of course I would. Of course I would. So, and you're so right in terms of how you say that if you had advice for someone in relation to getting their business to the next level and you
Okay.
based it on your own experience, that you're right. Sometimes it doesn't have to be a monetary level. It might be that you earn the same amount of money, but you potentially have a better quality of life. So however you want to approach it.
Okay, yeah. So I think it's what I've been doing this year particularly is delegating again and outsourcing. So a book I reckon is really good for every business owner to read is The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And it's all about working in your zone of genius. So I'm trying to work in my zone of genius as much as possible, which is teaching, speaking, writing books, or products and things that are going to help people. So, for example, I've now got 2 VAs. I've just had a professional photo shoot. I've now got a business coach. I've also got a personal coach. I'm thinking, where else can I had a digital online manager who's transformed my digital space, and the list kind of rolls on and on. So the more you can delegate, and the more you can obviously focus on, you know, we're trying to not do things that we might be excellent things, but we want to be doing things that we're completely brilliant at, or things we don't want to be doing things that we're inadequate, not very good at. I think they call it a zone of competence and incompetence. So for me, incompetence is bookkeeping. So I have an accountant and a bookkeeper that's very incompetent. So they're competent at it. I give it to them, and pass everything over to them to keep it nice and organized. Admin is the next thing. I've been doing a lot of admin the last 9 years, and I'm slowly delegating it over. Yes, you still got to give the content of your newsletter, but my goodness, one of my VAs transformed my newsletter into something interesting and looks good and gorgeous brand colors and all that stuff, And I think all these things can, so that can help take you to the next level. And if you get a spark of inspiration in, and you have got the qualifications, you have got the experience, and you've got something that's going to help someone with a book or something, write it. For goodness sake, there's no excuse. I mean, or at least write a blog. So yeah, they're the things I would say to help sort of take to the next level a bit, and think about what is your dream lifestyle. So my goal is, because I have personally had chronic fatigue and I have to look after my energy levels, I work between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. most of the time for my main teaching and business networking and interview time. It's only if I get a lovely invitation like from you that I will break the rule as a one-off. I will break the rule occasionally, but not very often. And then I'll go out to play. So I've just been to a coffee shop and seen a friend, and we picked affirmations together, and we had a chit chat before I saw you today. And then I'll lie down for the rest of the day. Once I've been out for a nice outing, I'll then lie down with my laptop to finish off, kind of thing.
Brilliant. Oh my goodness, that is such holistic advice. I love it. You are just, I just love chatting at you, my dear. I love it, Bev. You have so much for people to learn, and together. And actually, sorry, I want to circle back to the power of connection, which because I just feel, knowing you are a natural networker. So
no, not natural.
No,
it's learned. You have to learn it.
Interesting. Tell me more. You seem like a natural networker.
I am now, because I've learned it.
Aha.
No, I hadn't got a clue. No, I would call my sister Julie New, who's an amazing coach and author. I would call her an amazing networker, but also probably partly because she's an extrovert and I'm an introvert. So often you think that someone who's more of an extrovert and somebody who just can't wait to meet the next person everywhere they go, which is like my sister. For me, I'd never done networking before until a few years ago, until the pandemic, really. And I've got the hang of it now, and I'm really enjoying it. And I would say, yes, I am a good networker now, but that's a learnt thing as opposed to a natural thing. Also, I think it's easier if you're an introvert doing it on Zoom as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. It's I mean, life-changing and business changing, in my opinion. I love that. I love that insight. Thank you, Bev, because you see so many people probably are afraid and are probably going, I don't know whether I could do that. I don't know whether my business is good enough, or I don't know what to say. And just to share like that, you are a published author, you've got your own business, people share their testimonials about your business, but you also were like, I don't know how to network. I just think that's such a powerful thing to share,
Yeah, and the good thing is with things like obviously they tell you how to do it. I think the other thing I felt just popped into my head a moment ago when we were talking is I shared what a really good day is like, but I'm also naturally a past worker. I call it past workaholic. So last week was another kettle of fish. It didn't go into the idyllic plan of going for a swim in the sea in the afternoon and going to the coffee shop. And I had booked deadlines and I overdid it. And by Friday night, my son was like, "You look terrible." And I did look terrible, and I did have fatigue all weekend, and I paid for it. But this week's another week, and I'm back to, back to a better pace. But I think it's also useful, if you haven't ever done your money archetypes, finding out your money archetypes is really useful, because you find out what the strengths and weaknesses of your personality and your archetypes are, which really helps you in business as well. So one of mine is the ruler, which means I can naturally overwork, and I've obviously got a lot to give, but I've got to be careful to conserve, look after myself in the process of being somebody who's got a lot to do in the world.
Oh my goodness, such amazing advice. Stop it, you're amazing. I want
You're funny, Elaine.
You are amazing. You are.
Oh, thank you.
You are amazing. I wanted to then ask you, okay, so, and I actually am so glad you just mentioned that you had a non-perfect week last week.
Yeah, really, really not good.
Yeah, no, that's good. It's good. I think we don't talk about that enough,
Yeah, I'm happy to share.
Yeah, I wanted to just ask you, like, is there something like a strategy that you would, to try it out to grow your business, or that you thought, oh God, that sounds great, I'm going to try that, and you just hated it. You just didn't enjoy it, or can you share like what hasn't worked for you? Because that might teach people
probably
as well.
Retiring from Pilates probably didn't work for me very well for a while. That didn't work very well. Yeah, I mean, some of us have been through a lot of trauma and past problems, and yeah, sometimes we have to get the professional help to get over something. And I didn't actually fall out of love with Pilates or practicing it daily like I do personally. But there were different reasons that I needed. So my personal coach, Julie, actually helped me heal from that, and which meant that, yeah, I went on a very long journey. If you have your finger in too many pies, it's going to be generally a pretty disastrous pie, I would say. I know both you and me have been, I've been much more focusing on, growing the Mindfulness Pilates. And yes, I also have an amazing Stress to Calm book series coming out and help a little bit with lawyers, law firms and corporate. But prior to that, I'm not going to go into what I did, all the things I did before, but I did other professions as well. And it all gets a bit scattered. And so I decluttered and decluttered and decluttered. And you have more headspace then. And I think, I'm using my old formula, which is my current formula, which is building up class membership clients. So that grows more and more financial stability and helps obviously more clients. So I would say you can have a membership model that's really useful. So like, for example, some people say to me, oh, can I do pay as you go? Or, oh, is it a block of 6? And I'm like, no, that is not a good way to run a business. It's very faffy. I've never done it. Clients always pay on a membership, like on standing order, that sort of thing. Regular, monthly, and give more value in what you do. So I don't just teach that class. My mum says my studio on Zoom is better than the olden days, and it was all feng shui and everything. There's essential oils burning, there were blankets and every bit of equipment you could imagine at those studios. But she said it's better because obviously they can get the same benefits, but they also get their 6-minute video to practice and all those extra things, or the tips at the desk or the stretches at the desk, or help someone get through that week that's gone a bit of a nightmare. So yeah, that would be I would say, if you can have some sort of membership model, that's useful.
Brilliant. And what I love is your message, because it's my message too. is simplify your service offerings, because it's not just for you, because and that's what some of my clients say is like, wow, that they struggled against it quite often, like kicking and screaming, but that when they did it, the headspace that they got was phenomenal, but also it just helped people to just go towards them. So I just think it's great that you're doing that. You know, it's just brilliant.
Yeah,
Um,
back to basics. So back to
back to
basics. Yeah,
basics.
back to
Yeah,
basics. So people can do one-to-one. People can do a free taster class. They can do a class membership. Um, and that's it. Yeah, of course, corporate can book that too, or they can book the stress to calm. But it's kind of two main things, and that's kind of the main gist of it.
brilliant, brilliant. So tell me, God, I'm almost afraid to ask you this question because you're just so busy. But what is your
No,
big
I'm
dream?
not. No, I don't want to say I'm busy. I don't want to say I'm
You
busy. I
don't.
was last week. I said that would be lying. Too busy. Oh my God.
But like, what's your dream for your business next year in
Um,
2024? What's your
yeah, my
dream?
dream is that my mindfulness Pilates studio on Zoom is fully booked. So my 10 classes. So that's obviously my business women classes, my elderly class. I don't call it that though, but it's all ages actually in that class. And obviously my chronic fatigue management classes as well. And my men and women classes, all welcome in those. So my first thing is that they're fully booked. So that will be just we'll be having a party, Elaine. I will contact you when this happens. Yeah, so that's my first wish. And yeah, to work more with more clients, usually only like about 5 at a time on the one-to-one programs, the deeper programs. Maria will only need to do one program, this particular lady. And she'll be ready for class actually, which I was not expecting. So that's quite simple. Then I can help another one-to-one client, you know what I mean? And then of course our books, the Stress to Calm series, as well as the I would love it if we do events at Waterstones as well. So for the Stress to Calm in 7 minutes for lawyers, yeah, I'd love it if it's a bestseller, and that it's a UK and USA launch actually, so it's out on the 28th of November. And then after that, next year we've got another minimum 2 books coming out, which is the one Stress to Calm in 7 minutes for teachers and schools. And then the third one in the series is Stress to Calm in 7 minutes for nurses and the NHS.
Oh
They'll
my
be out next
goodness.
year.
So needed. So needed. That's
Yeah.
amazing. You are an absolute juggernaut, my friend. That is just phenomenal. Like, oh my God. Okay, well, what I want to know then is like, do you have a mantra like that you bring them to like, because that's some amount of achievement. Do you have a mantra that you have in your life, your personal life, that you bring through to your business, you know?
Yeah, I think the thing I will answer this. Just one thing I want to say on the last question, just briefly, is
Mm,
if you have a team,
yeah.
you do a much better job. So, for example, if I've just I self-published my first book myself. Second book, my current publisher published, and now they're publishing this series, McNider and Grace. And they do this in-depth author questionnaire and ask you so many questions and who do you want to help and things like this. And I only wanted to write one more book. I only had one more book planned, but they could see that there are different areas I wanted to help in, and that we could help in those areas. So the more you can have a team and having other experts working with you, you create something much better. It wouldn't have been nearly as good if I hadn't written them with Janie and I didn't have our publishers, you know. So yeah, work with experts. And the word I would give you is determination.
Oh, I can see that all right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. I love it. You are so determined. Every yeah, in my experience of you, oh, you are. It's phenomenal. You are so determined. Yes. So, I mean, let's get down to brass tacks. I will obviously share your details around this video, depending on where it appears. But how can people work with you? How can they work with you?
Yeah, so an individual, somebody can just work with me one-to-one on Zoom, and they can do one-to-one programs for the mindfulness Pilates or the stress management. I do teach that one-to-one as well. That's how I started working with the lawyer last year. And then somebody can try the free taster class, of course, the Mindfulness Pilates free taster class on Zoom in exchange for a testimonial. And then if they benefit and like it, then they can then obviously join the proper class membership, and that's maximum 12 clients in a class. If it's a lawyer, a law firm, or corporate, they can start off with a one-off working through stress to calm workshop. And then if they actually want to look after their company properly with their mental health, stress management and well-being, they can have me in regularly at the desk, sitting at the desk on Zoom. And everybody always comes away with lower stress levels, more productivity, and happier and better work-life balance from that. So that's how I work on those sides of things. Or they can just get the book and try the DIY version.
Oh, you've got all the boxes ticked. I love it. Oh, look, that was fantastic. I really enjoyed talking to you. I know that you're going to help so many people. And so thank you so much for talking to me today, all about the power of connection. And it's been fabulous just listening to you and listening to your journey and on how I know for sure that people in business are going to be so interested in your perspective and are going to learn so much from us talking together. So thanks so much.